All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at The Volume. I hope all of you guys are having a great day. We're going to mix things up today by turning our attention to the WNBA. I want to spend some time doing a deep dive on the Indiana Fever, specifically Caitlin Clark, but also the rest of the team and the way they've been the best offense in the WNBA over the last 13 games by a pretty wide margin, doing some really interesting stuff in their 5-out attack, a very balanced starting lineup, awesome ball and player movement, just playing a really beautiful brand of basketball. So off the top, we're going to talk about some of the specific ways that the Indiana Fever have been playing so well. And then after that, I've got 17 clips. We're going to do our first film session of the summer, diving into the specific ways that Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and the Indiana Fever have been cutting up the rest of the WNBA. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at @_JasonLT so you guys don't miss any show announcements. Don't forget about our podcast feed. Wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight, don't forget it's helpful if you leave a rating and a review on that front. And last but not least, you know the drill. Keep dropping mailbag questions in the YouTube comments so we can keep hitting them throughout the rest of the fall. So let's talk some basketball. The Indiana Fever started this WNBA season 1-8. Not pretty, right? Looked overmatched in a lot of specific matchups. Didn't really look like they knew how to play with their specific set of talent. To be expected, you're infusing a kind of a very transformative type of basketball player in Caitlin Clark into that mix. And so naturally, it ended up taking some time for them to sort things out. But they're 18-9 since that 1-8 start. That is the third best record in the league over that span. They have the second best offense in the league over that span. And they are third in pace, playing really, really fast, getting the ball up and down the floor. A lot of kick-ahead passes from Caitlin Clark. Looks a lot like the old school Phoenix Suns, a little bit like the current Indiana Fever with the way that they prioritize kick-ahead passes to try to find advantages in transition. In the last 13 games in particular, they've been especially dominant. They are 10-3 in that span. They have the number one offense by a wide margin in that 13-game span. Caitlin Clark herself has been on an insane run. In her last 14 games, she's averaging 24 points per game. That's the second most in the entire WNBA over that span. 6 rebounds per game, 10.3 assists per game. Alyssa Thomas in that same span is second in the WNBA at 7.7 assists per game. That's an incredibly wide margin. And her efficiency, after being pretty rough in the early part of the season, has gone up a massive level. She is, in that 14-game span, shooting 46% from the field, 37% from three, and 93% from the foul line. That amounts to over 62% in true shooting percentage. For example, just as a comparison to the NBA level, that is a higher true shooting percentage than Luka Doncic had in this particular NBA regular season. She's received Eastern Conference Player of the Week honors 3 weeks in a row. Really, the only player that you can definitively say is playing better basketball than Caitlin Clark over the last 2 months is A'ja Wilson. It actually reminds me of the early 2010s with LeBron and Steph, where LeBron was just this clear-cut best player in the world and so incredibly physically dominant, and no one in the league could guard him and was just kind of running things. But there's this up-and-coming guard that is cutting everybody up and playing a really unique style. And, you know, in terms of overall kind of impact, it's starting to inch closely to that level of impact that LeBron had. And obviously those two ended up having an incredible rivalry in the middle of the 2010s. Now it remains to be seen if Clark and the Fever can do that with A'ja Wilson and the Aces, but it just kind of reminds me in a similar way to that dynamic that we had in the early 2010s over in the NBA. But I want to talk a little bit about the team concept here. We're going to look at a lot of video that's going to show some specific examples of the way that Caitlin Clark herself kind of drives things on the offensive end. But I want to talk about the team in general for just a minute, because this is, in my opinion, a very, very well-constructed modern WNBA offense, or I should just say a modern basketball offense that is succeeding at the WNBA level. So it's a masterpiece of 5-out basketball. 5-out basketball is a concept I've talked about a ton on this particular show lately, talking about the differences between 5-out basketball and some of the differences that we saw in the past. It does not involve 5 shooters. That has actually very little to do with how 5-out basketball works. 5-out basketball is about ball and player movement action cycling from side to side, and specifically not occupying the paint in a permanent context, but rather occupying the paint briefly when opportunities present themselves, driving into the paint, cutting into the paint, screening and rolling into the paint. You get in there, see if there's an opportunity, take advantage of it, or get out. But it's the main difference is cycling from side to side. And in order to cycle from side to side, you have to have multiple players that can run action on both sides of the floor. And that is where the actual lineup construct of the Indiana Fever comes into the equation. It's a simple construct. It's a two big look. It's Aaliyah Boston, usually NaLyssa Smith, although they've had a couple of other players that have filled in for NaLyssa Smith in that role. In fact, Bentley had a really nice game against Atlanta the other night. But those two bigs are typically focusing on screening and rolling and posting, right? So they're looking to set screens on Caitlin Clark, usually at the beginning of the possession. If they have an opportunity to roll into space, they're looking to catch and make a read or a shot there. But if it doesn't amount to anything, they're turning and cycling to the other side of the floor where they're going to try to run something with Kelsey Mitchell. And that's the second piece of this, is it's a secondary scoring guard in Kelsey Mitchell that complements Caitlin Clark beautifully. Lightning quick lefty, has a nice pull-up jump shot to kind of counter it. One of the best transition players in the league. Kelsey Mitchell is second in transition points scored in the WNBA this year. And a big part of that is those kick-ahead passes I was talking about. NaLyssa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell are always looking to run their lanes, and anytime Caitlin can throw that kick-ahead pass, she's looking to make it, and they're scoring out of it. But those partnerships, it's the two primary shot creators in Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, and the two primary kind of screening fulcrums in Aaliyah Boston and NaLyssa Smith. And both of those two in particular, NaLyssa Smith has done a lot of really good work in ISO and post situations this year, but Aaliyah Boston and NaLyssa Smith have been torching mismatches whenever they do get switches in the post. And so it's like that really nice mix of two good screening partners and two good ball handlers that make it work. And then you tie in Lexi Hull, who's your textbook 3-and-D specialist, right? She takes a tough perimeter assignment every night on the defensive end of the floor. And then on offense, Lexi Hull's shooting 48% on catch and shoot jump shots this year. Not in effective field goal percentage, in straight up field goal percentage. She's making damn near half of her catch and shoot jump shots. She is the second most efficient catch and shoot player in the league to log at least 50 catch and shoot attempts. So kind of a brilliant basketball mix that complements each other really well, right? Kelsey brings more like speed and burst at the guard position. Caitlin brings more playmaking and a little bit more catch and shoot game, right? But the two of them are running the primary actions. You've got these two screening partners, and then you can't help off of Lexi Hull. And that is what ties everything together. As far as their playing style, they play with a ton of pace. This was something that I identified early in the season that I think they used for a couple different reasons. One, to get advantages in transition, obviously, that they're just easier opportunities when the defense isn't set. But a second piece of it was avoiding ball pressure. Caitlin Clark, from the start of the season, was getting picked up full court, physical defenses, people really trying to expose her inability to handle that like physical ball pressure. And so one of the biggest ways that Caitlin has gotten away from that is on her on-ball reps, she's looking to catch either on the inbound or on the rebound and just start moving up the floor as fast as possible. Like, don't even give the defender the opportunity to set ball pressure. And then the second thing is those kick-ahead passes. And it's not just the kick-aheads to Kelsey Mitchell drive for a driving lane or a kick-ahead to NaLyssa Smith running the middle of the floor. A big part of it, too, is just hitting Aaliyah Boston, usually kind of around, like, think about the top of the key extended out almost to the logo, and she'll like catch there just so that Caitlin doesn't have to face the ball pressure. Then Caitlin will like kind of run hard at Aaliyah Boston's left shoulder, kind of on this side, to get the defender to kind of commit that side, and then she'll veer back and get like a dribble handoff from Aaliyah Boston. Now she's in their screening action without having to dribble up the floor against pressure. But between those kick-ahead passes and trying to beat that ball pressure, suddenly they're playing at one of the fastest paces that we see in the WNBA. As a team, for the entire season, the Fever are second in transition points scored per game. Obviously, that's not even accounting for the fact that they've been playing way faster over the latter portion of the season. In the half court, It's advantage basketball. I've talked about this so much, but modern basketball is about advantages. It's about creating an advantage, extending an advantage, and finishing a play. That's the 3 steps to scoring in 5-out basketball: advantage creation, advantage extension, play finishing. And each of those 3 require different players to do different things. Advantage creation is anything that causes either 2 defenders to go to the ball or for the defense at large to lean one way, which creates a closeout opportunity, right? So that is the first step of the possession. Create that initial advantage. The second step is advantage extending, right? That's if you throw that pass because Kelsey Mitchell's defender is sinking down to the nail and she now has an opportunity to catch with a defender sprinting at her. That's an advantage situation. Now it's Kelsey Mitchell's job to drive that closeout to create an even bigger advantage. And then eventually is the end of that sequence, which is play finishing, where someone either has a wide open catch and shoot jump shot or they drive that closeout and there's an opportunity to score. Another advantage that you'll see is on the roll. So like if you'll see a lot of this in the film session today, Caitlin comes off of a screen, brings the screen defender up to the level. The screener slips into open space. Caitlin throws it over the top. Now Aaliyah Boston is catching with either her defender sprinting back and is out of position, or no hope. It's somebody else coming over, but it's a smaller defender, which now that advantage is Aaliyah Boston is going against a smaller defender, or maybe she has an opportunity to make a kick out pass from there. Whether it's on the roll or it's on the catch out on the perimeter, you have to extend the advantage until you get a great shot, which is your opportunity to finish the play. And like, that's the beautiful thing about all of this when it comes down to their playing style. It's not heliocentric. Caitlin has the ball a lot, but she's making quick decisions. She's, for the most part, if she's looking to shoot, she's doing it early in the clock. For the most part, she is looking to just create that advantage, get rid of the basketball, and everyone on that team trusts each other to make plays off of it. And that's why they're getting those returns that are beyond the scope of even what their talent would lead you to believe. That is the beauty of basketball, when you can reach the point where the totality of your production is more than the sum of your parts. It is beautiful basketball. I'm excited to get into a film session and show you guys the variety of ways that the Indiana Fever have their success on the offensive end of the floor. So without any further ado, let's get over to our film session. TD Tutty taking it to the house. In for 6. Whatever you call a touchdown, one thing is for sure: touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. On the ground, in the air, from the special teams or defense, we don't care how they score them. We want to bet on touchdowns. And DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple, like a player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your bet today. You can also bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl. Right now, DraftKings has the Kansas City Chiefs as the favorite at plus 500, followed by the San Francisco 49ers at plus 600. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets instantly and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. This is an easy example of bringing the screen defender up to the level of the screen. So we're going to get a ball screen here. And one of the things you'll notice is as Caitlin Clark gets this ball screen, one of the things you have to remember is that Caitlin Clark has hit 77 pull-up jump shots this year. 77 jump shots off the dribble. That is the 4th most in the entire league. And the crazy thing is she still isn't quite hitting those as efficiently as we know she's capable of. She's been doing better as of late, but there's still another level she can get to there, and she's already the 4th most frequent pull-up jump shot maker in the WNBA. So watch as Aaliyah Boston comes up to set the screen. When the screen gets set, the screen defender has no choice but to come up high. And the reason why that screen defender has to come up high is Caitlin can knock this shot down. So now what that opens up is an opportunity for Aaliyah Boston to roll into the paint, right? So now as Aaliyah Boston rolls into the paint, we have 2 on the ball, right? We have Aaliyah Boston going downhill, and we have a 2-on-1 kind of materializing here on the back end. Watch this pass fake that Aaliyah Boston throws to the cutter. Boom, pass fake. Look at the defender's eyes. I'm going to go back a little bit because you can literally see it happen. Watch as she catches. Watch on the pass fake. Watch the defender's eyes. Pass fake, boom, out of position now. Now it's dead to rights. Aaliyah makes a hard dribble move to the right now that she has that space. The defender overcorrects hard back to Aaliyah Boston's right-hand side, and she just spins right off and gets an easy basket in the paint. Again, that's an advantage created off of that initial action run by Caitlin Clark, right? So it finishes in a one-on-one, but what we get from the one-on-one is we get a different defender. So first of all, the bigger defender that is assigned to guard Aaliyah Boston is now out of the action. Now we have our 2-on-1, and this unleashes the pass fake to get the defender further out of position so that Aaliyah can go to work. That's textbook advantage basketball in 5-out. All right, let's go to the next one. One of the things that Caitlin Clark fights against a lot at the WNBA level is just really aggressive ball pressure. If there's one thing that you can really point to that she struggled with, it's turning the basketball over. And there's a lot of context there. She's throwing a lot of passes. There's a lot of ball and player movement in the Fever offense. And with more ball and player movement means more turnovers. That's been something that we've seen around basketball forever. I mean, famously, the Golden State Warriors, for running one of the most beautiful offenses of this era, famously turn the ball over a lot, right? That's something that is to be expected. But the second piece of it is Caitlin has struggled with ball pressure, right? So teams are always going to try to overplay on the basketball. Now, what I want you to see here, this is Jordan Canada on the ball against Caitlin Clark. Watch the job that she does in these first couple actions. They're setting up a double stagger, but she's not allowing herself to get screened by staying attached to Caitlin Clark and not giving an angle for the screener to actually set a good pick on her, right? So one of the things that Caitlin Clark has done a lot of, I actually talked about this more in a transition context, but she's going to do it here in the half court, is avoiding that ball pressure by just getting rid of the basketball. So in this case, Aaliyah Boston goes like she's going to run a screen to the other side of the floor, but she turns around and realizes Caitlin wants to make a pass to her. So Caitlin makes a pass. Watch what happens here. Now, from this situation, it's setting up with the same concept of a ball screen with a ball handler, but instead it's off ball because she gave it up. But the action is defended exactly the same, right? This guard is going to try to chase Caitlin over the top, and this screen defender is going to come up high to try to meet her. But one of the ways that Caitlin is countering ball pressure is identifying, okay, Jordan Canada just was trying to jump over every screen and meet me on the other side. So why don't I just fake like I'm going to go off this dribble handoff? She runs at it, fakes it, boom. Look at Jordan Canada. She jumps way to the high side of the screen. Caitlin back cuts off of it, ends up getting a clean look and knocks it down. Caitlin, by the way, is getting 1.23 points per catch and shoot jump shot this year. That is sixth among the 33 WNBA players to log at least 100 of them. This is just an example of just how difficult it is to guard Caitlin. Watch these off-ball screening actions. She sets a cross screen for a post up here on the left block, and then she immediately runs off of two off-ball screens. Jordan Canada is going to try to work her way through it. This is really well defended, too. She's chasing, she's pursuing, she's staying attached. Now we have this dribble handoff kind of materializing right here. And the way you want to defend this is you want this guard to continue to chase over the top, and you want this big to show. They do that. It doesn't matter. That's good defense. But this is one of the best catch and shoot players in the league, one of the best movement shooters in the league. She knocks it down anyway. By the way, that is why you're going to see so many examples in this film session of her hitting clean rollers to the basket because she's constantly drawing that second defender out to the level of the screen. All right. Here's an example of one of those kick-ahead passes that I was talking about. So we're going to get a drive. Watch on the rebound. Aaliyah Boston's going to quickly give it to Caitlin. Watch as soon as look at Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell, as soon as she identifies we have the rebound. So right here, it's like, oh shit, we have the rebound. She's going to immediately start sprinting her lane up the right side, and she's got a big in front of her. So she knows if she can beat this big on the sprint, there's an opportunity. Caitlin identifies this right away. Boom, eyes up the floor, right? So we're already looking eyes up the floor. It's a 2-on-2, but now it's like route running in the NFL. It's like, can Kelsey get open on this route? She has a head of steam. She starts to pass. The defender turns her back towards the rim. Now she's backpedaling while Kelsey's sprinting. she's dead to rights. Caitlin hits her in stride. Beautiful pass. Easy basket there. Remember, Kelsey Mitchell has scored in transition 61 times this year. That's the second most in the entire WNBA. Here's an example of how I was talking about how you can actually get a lot of the same advantages that you get in ball screens, but in an off-ball action. So let's watch how this play develops into a wide open three for Lexi Hull. So Caitlin gives up the basketball. Now we're going to flow into an action with Kelsey Mitchell, right? But instead of running a ball screen with Kelsey Mitchell, we're going to get an off-ball pick for Caitlin Clark coming this way, okay? So, in fact, Bentley's going to go set the screen. Caitlin comes off the softball action. As we've seen, Caitlin has knocked down a bunch of these already, right? This is one of her calling cards, right? Screen defender. Look at the screen defender's body. She's getting ready to close out hard. Caitlin comes off, 2 on the ball, okay? So that's our initial advantage. So where do we go from there? In fact, Bentley is going to cut into the lane into this area. She gives the ball to Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell sees Fact Bentley cutting, hits her, boom. On the catch, all the Atlanta Dream players turn their heads here. As these two in particular converge around her, the defender guarding Lexi Hull in the weak side corner has to get down and box out here. As she comes down to box out, now Lexi Hull is wide open on the weak side for the catch and shoot three. And as I mentioned, she's been one of the very best catch and shoot players in the entire WNBA this year. So watch it full speed again. You guys can see what I'm talking about. Off ball action, 2 on the ball. Okay. Roll into the lane, hit the roller. Defense converges, wide open 3 on the weak side, taking advantage of that initial advantage. Again, so our initial advantage was created by Caitlin Clark. Our advantage was extended by Kelsey Mitchell hitting Fact Bentley on the roll to the rim here. And then our play finisher was Lexi Hull on the weak side. Beautiful, modern ball movement on offense. Here's another example of just giving Aaliyah Boston high-quality roll opportunities by virtue of Caitlin Clark drawing the defender to the level of the screen. So here we go. Here's our ball screen. On the ball screen, the defender's up at the level. Aaliyah rolls. We hit her here. Now watch. The screen defender is actually recovering to guard Aaliyah Boston, but she's not in position, right? If we were playing king of the court and it's just one-on-one and the defender's faced up with her, it's a tougher matchup, right? But now she's out of position from the start. Then from there, she can just go to one of her post moves and the defender's not even set. She just easily gets to her little left shoulder hook and knocks it down. That's advantage basketball. Again, it's a post up. It's a one-on-one play, but it's a one-on-one play against a defender at a disadvantage. That is going to be the primary driver of shot quality. This was on a made basket. Look at the transition kick-ahead pass from Caitlin Clark. She catches, looks up the floor. She sees Fact Bentley running along this left side here. All eyes are on Caitlin Clark. Look at this beautiful kick-ahead feed. That's unbelievable basketball. Taking advantage of the easy opportunities. No reason to even sit in the half court and try to execute if we don't have to. How many of you guys have ever watched the Golden State Warriors and watched Draymond Green execute a fake dribble handoff with Steph Curry? This is a great example of that in a huge moment, late game, down by 2. Indiana's potential final opportunity to tie this game. We're going to make a simple entry pass here to Aaliyah Boston. Okay. Now, as we're getting ready to throw this dribble handoff, watch Aaliyah Boston's defender. She is going to, on the dribble handoff, show, in case Caitlin Clark comes off looking to shoot, Aaliyah Boston just fakes the dribble handoff, gets right to the rim. Easy 2 to tie the game. How often can you expect in a huge moment like that against a defense that's really locked in to get a wide open layup? It's all set up by that ball and player movement that they've used the entire game. Here's another example. Here's another example in overtime. This time, Fagbenle is going to hit a catch and shoot mid-range jump shot off of the handoff. So we're going to get a dribble handoff with Caitlin. Watch, same exact concept. As she comes off, screen defender shows. When the screen defender shows, we're just rolling into this space right here at the elbow. Easy jump shot. Again, this is a wide open, completely uncontested jump shot in a crunch time situation by virtue of the attention that Caitlin Clark draws. Knocked it down. All right, so this is the other game I was pulling clips from, a monster night that Caitlin had against the LA Sparks. These are the last two wins that Indiana had. Here's another example of Caitlin Clark bringing the screen defender up to the level. So let's get ahead to the other side of the floor first. Go to transition here. So we're going to get a quick little ball screen in transition. Ball screen, boop, screen defender steps up. We're going to hit the pocket pass to the roller. Roller's coming down the lane. But now watch. Lexi Hull is, like I had mentioned, one of the best catch and shoot players in the league. So instead of this defender stepping in and putting her body on the line, she immediately panics, and watch her jump back out as if she's going to the shooter because she's worried about Lexi Hull because of how deadly she is as a shooter. As a result, the roll gets a wide open layup. Alrighty. This is an example of Caitlin drawing a trap with NaLyssa Smith. Let's see here. Actually, it was with NaLyssa Smith was the one who was open on this play. But we're going to get a basic blitz of the ball screen, right? So Caitlin, again, we're going to play advantage basketball here. Caitlin gets the double, right? So now NaLyssa Smith's defender steps up, and she's standing wide open underneath the basket, but there's just really good ball pressure, and it leads to a turnover. When I talk about how important ball pressure is when you're blitzing or any sort of double team, this is what I mean. Because when you have a 4-on-3, you're going to give up something that's open. In this case, the Sparks end up giving up a wide open layup to NaLyssa Smith. But by virtue of just pressuring the ball and making the passing angle more difficult, they force the turnover. But you can imagine, even if she just gets a tip on this, it might be enough for this defender coming in from the weak side corner to come in and steal it. That's why it's so important to apply ball pressure when you are sending two at the ball. But that's another example. Caitlin Clark draws a blitz. There's a wide open layup there for NaLyssa Smith if they can execute on that. In the second half, in this game in particular, LA really started to blitz, and Indiana struggled with it a little bit, but they were getting good opportunities. They were just missing easy shots. Aaliyah Boston in particular missed a couple easy little short roll jump shots during that stretch. We're going to get to that in a minute, though. This is an example of a play that we see the Fever run quite a bit, and they run it in a bunch of different ways. Sometimes they'll have Aaliyah Boston set the screen first, but then other times they'll just have her run to the post. So in this case, she didn't set the screen, but sometimes they'll have Aaliyah Boston actually screen for Caitlin Clark first. But basically what they'll do is they'll wheel through their two bigs. So the second big will then come up to set an action, right? And then as that's happening, they'll bring Kelsey Mitchell out of that weak side corner to set a cross screen on Aaliyah Boston's defender. Then she will get a deep post catch in this area. But what's crazier, and this is one of the things that makes Caitlin Clark such a wizard, Caitlin Clark, let's go back to that action. So we were watching the off-ball action. We see Aaliyah Boston coming off of this this cross screen here. But if we go back to the action, as the second screener comes up, Caitlin's going to draw two immediately. So what's ironic here is you've got an open opportunity on the roll as well. But Aaliyah Boston is a good deep seal here. And because Kelsey Mitchell, who's normally occupying this corner, is the one setting the pick, there's still a passing angle there. Watch this pass from Caitlin Clark against crazy ball pressure all the way from about 45 feet from the basket on a rope that hits Aaliyah Boston perfectly under the basket for a layup. Beautiful basketball. But yeah, the Fever run a lot of that type of action. We're going to go over a couple of the consistent actions that Indiana runs here in the next few minutes. But that's one that I've seen from them quite a bit, where they will just basically either have Aaliyah set that first pick, or in that case, not set it, but then wheel around as the other screener comes up to set the pick. and then she'll come off of that cross screen from Kelsey Mitchell. She gets a lot of really nice deep post catches there. Here's another play that the Fever have run a lot in the second half of the season that's worked really well. And this is a beautiful example of how second side action can be so deadly as long as you take the time to run that first side action. So again, when I say second side action, what I mean is Caitlin Clark is running the primary action and Kelsey Mitchell's running the secondary action after the ball gets reversed, right? So what we're going to do here is Caitlin's going to dribble down. She's going to run dribble handoff. That's our first action, right? Look at all the LA Sparks players. They're all keyed up on this side. We have 3 players outside of the paint on the strong side of the floor. So then when the ball gets swung, Aaliyah Boston has it, and Aaliyah Boston's going to turn to go run action with Kelsey Mitchell. But look at all of the Sparks defenders. Because they just ran action on this side of the floor, I still have 3 Sparks that are on the left side of the paint, and a 4th that's all the way 20 feet away from the basket. So Kelsey Mitchell will come up like she's running a dribble handoff, and then she's going to cut back door. Now, what is this defender's job? This defender's job is to chase Kelsey Mitchell off this action, and you're going to see, we're going to have a clip here in just a second where Kelsey comes off one of these like crazy and gets all the way to the rim for a left-handed layup because she's really damn hard to guard when she gets the ball in those situations and she's coming off of the screen, right? So, but here's an example of her beating the overplay by just cutting back door out of it. And then I've talked to all those of you guys, you NBA fans who have been watching me so much over the course of the last few weeks. I've been talking a lot about this concept within Team USA and in other things, and with the Isaiah Hartenstein signing. You got to have bigs in these situations that can make these reads. And this is a beautiful feed from Aaliyah Boston that hits Kelsey Mitchell on the catch. But again, notice the entire backside help from LA is not there because they just had to defend a Caitlin Clark action on the strong side of the floor, and they all got kind of worked up over there. You can imagine in a scenario where this was the beginning of the possession, where if Aaliyah Boston was here and there was no action run on this side of the floor, these defenders are likely all at least one step further over to that strong side of the floor, which is now this side, right? Then if Kelsey Mitchell cuts back door, she's cutting into defense, and she may not have that opportunity, right? That's why it's so important in 5-out to get ball reversal, to run that first action and then to move the ball to the other side, because generally speaking, human nature will keep these 3 defenders out of position and give you an opportunity to take advantage of that. This next clip is just classic Caitlin Clark ISO magic, a beautiful step back jump shot. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Look at this dribble combination. Hard crossover to the left, gets the defender way out of position, try to cut off the drive, gets plenty of separation, straight up and down. That's the main thing I want you guys to see here on this play. Watch just the end of the shot. If I showed you this, look at her left foot. Notice when she takes the step back, her left foot catches her body weight. From here, I'm going to play it. This is just a catch and shoot jump shot. It's a wide open catch and shoot jump shot, right? But there's a footwork element to it because she's actually going full speed. She sets her body up to the right. Now look at where her body is set up. Her face is turned to the right. Her shoulders are turned to the right. Her hips are turned to the right. Her toes are pointed to the right. Everything is keyed up like she's about to go to the right. This is why I talk about all the time with ball handling. It's less about you whipping the ball around in some sort of dramatic dribbling technique, and it's more about how you sell your change of direction. She is selling that she's going right. She whips it back across to the left. Look at how low she is. She drops her shoulder. Now her whole body is geared up like she's going on the drive. That right foot, boom, right there, hard step back, catches her body weight. Now it's straight up and down. So she got herself a wide open jump shot, but she did it with footwork and by selling her change of direction, and was able to actually make that out of a standard static one-on-one situation. That's elite ball handling. That is elite footwork. That is elite shot making from Caitlin Clark. As I talked about earlier, they were struggling with the blitz in the second half, not by virtue of not handling it properly, just missing shots. They were in these situations. You would see the second defender come towards Caitlin. Let's get out to where Caitlin has the ball here first. So, okay, you would have this situation, and both defenders would go with Caitlin, and Aaliyah Boston just missed a couple easy ones here in the short range. But in this particular play, they finally beat it. Here comes the blitz. Both are on the ball. Aaliyah Boston rolls into space, but now look what happens. She's rolling into space and going up against a smaller defender. So, yeah, this is a one-on-one. This is a post-up. This is a nice move and finish from Aaliyah Boston, but it is an advantage that is created from the initial action. And again, that's why in advantage basketball, you got to remember all three steps, and all three steps are equally important to the ball going into the basket. She spins right off, gets an easy layup. Another nasty bit of shot making from Caitlin. Let's watch the footwork of it. Let's watch it in full speed first. That's nasty. Same kind of setup, but instead of crossing over to drive, she's crossing over behind her back to shoot. So again, full body setup as if she's going to drive. Now as the defender is completely geared up heading towards that right-hand drive. We hit the step back dribble and that little extra shuffle step, and once again, straight up and down at the end. Again, a lot of times we look at that and we go, oh, that's crazy. It's a step back jump shot. The shot making part is the easy part. The harder part is, can you get the separation and can you get the lift and reset your base and go straight up and down, right? There's a footwork element that we often overlook in those situations. Nasty jump shot. And then to end the game, this beautiful transition drop-off pass. Little turnover, a push behind the back. Easy basket. Let's all yell and scream and celebrate. Another big win for the Indiana Fever. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a better understanding of some of the specific ways that Indiana has had so much success on offense. I think that it's something that I've always been a big fan of, because this is something that I think so many NBA teams, in particular, as I've been covering the league, haven't done a good enough job of exploiting, which is just using simple actions to get an advantage, and then having the floor spaced and set up properly for you to capitalize on those particular advantages. But most importantly, getting the ball from side to side, reversing the basketball, having multiple actions on the same possession so that you get real ball and player movement. That is what gets a defense out of their set configuration. That is what makes you, as an offense, much harder to guard. That's all I have for this particular video. I plan on doing some stuff around Caitlin Clark and the Fever over the course of this playoff run. So make sure that you guys follow our YouTube channel, or subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys can see our show announcements. I will let you guys know when I plan on covering games. Again, I appreciate you guys for supporting the show, and I will see you next time.